Hey, welcome back. We are here for the final video in the series of Getting Shit Done. Although, as I said in the very first one, I may well come back to this for a fifth one once I get a bit more feedback or a few comments from people about how they're finding these calendars. Anyway, so if you've come to this page, it's probably because you've found me on Twitter or on the website. This is the fourth video in a series. You need to go back, really, I think, to go and have a look at the videos that's preceded it. The point of this calendar is not to sit as a calendar. Anyone can do a calendar, right? Calendar, desk planner. Anyone can do a desk planner. The reason I'm doing this is that I wanted to do something specific, which was to link the way that I think about work-life balance, the way that I think about getting shit done, the importance that I place on having a fun, relatively chilled out and creative life, and to fit that into something which is usually simply associated with productivity. Now, this calendar isn't that. When I was looking, this planner isn't that. And when I was looking at planners for myself, for my students, I just kept coming up short with what I really wanted. So that's why I've made this one. The changes aren't massive in comparison to ones that you can find online, but they're important. And also it comes with this video series. So it helps get into some of the ideas which lots of people talk about, right? There's books and books and books on some of the stuff that I cover here. I just hope that I've been able to condense it into relatively short videos. I know I waffle at times, but relatively short videos with an outcome, a desk planner that makes sense within an overarching system. So that's why I've done this, really. Let's have a look at this thing anyway. And I suggest while I'm talking about this, it probably won't come out that well. Oh, no. It looks okay. While I'm talking about this, if you download one of the images so you can see it, that will help as I go through some of the bits and how you're supposed to use them. And then what I'll do is I'll give a few kind of like broader tips which finish off the series, then job done. So hopefully this will be not the most complicated or long-winded video. Again, this thing doesn't stand alone. It sits within an overarching understanding of what it means to get shit done and what shit we need to actually get done. Because there's some stuff which, without planning and considering things in an overarching sense, just leads us to recreate a path which someone else wants us to travel. And I hate the idea of a desk planner that helps you get organized in a journey that's not your own. So first off, really think on that. Like, what's the point in being productive if the outcome isn't something you want? That's an existential question which people don't ask a lot. They just think, go, 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 do more, more, more. Doing more of something you don't want isn't a good call for me. Okay. So the first thing to say is, when you use this planner, especially the first time, and especially if you've never used planners before, use the whole thing and use it within the framework that I set out in the previous videos. If you get more attuned to it and you figure your life out and you know where you're going, use it how you like. But to begin with, just try and be disciplined and use the whole thing. So first off, see in the top corner, I'm just going to have to move it so I can see it. You can see in the top corner, there's top priorities. So here, we're thinking about our yearly plan, which you can get, I talk about in the previous couple of videos. We're thinking about our yearly plan. We should be able to draw from that what our top priorities are. Okay, so at this point in the year, my top priority is teaching and staying healthy, right? Because we have loads of students come to the university and they're all carrying various diseases and illnesses, and we get freshers flu. So I try and stay healthy at this time of year when I'm recording this, right? Just coming to the end of that. And that my big focus is teaching. So I can put a lot of energy there. So when I've got a load of teaching focus, I don't do a lot of writing. That goes down as my top priorities. That's dead simple. Notice how they're not specific. They're overarching. They're big. That's where my mind is most of the time, right? For that month, for that week, whatever. Once we move into the to-do list, which is underneath that, now we're getting specific, right? So what have I got to do? Where have I got to do it? And within that, you can start to make sure that you've got, if your goals were the ones that I've aligned, do your preparation for this, 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 and this. and you've got your specifics. Underneath that, we have to improve from last week. So straight away, when you're looking at the first column, if we think that we work from left to right, which we kind of do in most situations, straight away there's a moment of reflection, which is, look, what didn't I do great last week? So it's not I don't think it's a negative start point, but it's exploring something which you need to do better this week. So I think we can throw a positive onto that, accepting what we didn't do great to improve. Then we can move it into a positive. All right, so I didn't really keep on top of my exercise last week. Okay, cool. So actually what I've got to do is really improve on that. And it's there, it's at the start of the week. It's at the left-hand side of the planner. And then as we move across, we can see the week. Now, I've put this whole week in. And some people would say, do you need to have a work desk planner for the weekend? And I'd say definitely. Some of these you find, and they've just got the weekdays, and that's fine. But one, I like to work at weekends sometimes because it means that I take time off in the week and I won't be dictated to when I work. I'll work when I need to work. So I like to be able to do that. And two, I like to be able to see the rewards that I'm getting. So I plan my weekends when I'm doing this sort of thing. At the minute, I'm not using a planner. We'll come to that at the end. But when I am using a planner like this, I plan my weekends because it's the rewards. It's the stuff that I'm looking forward to. And you'll see as well that I've got the evenings in, right? So we can see that our Friday and Saturday rewards. And also the timings, okay? The obvious one would be to say, oh, you should only work 9 to 5. Right, so we only need a planner for 9 to 5. Absolute nonsense, absolute nonsense. That's from 7 until 7, right? A 12-hour working day, if you want it. And what that means is if you're the sort of person who gets up late, no sweat. If you're the sort of person like me who gets up early, no sweat. I can finish early. You can finish late, whatever. But it opens the day up. And it moves around this idea that we've got to work 9 to 5. I hate that idea. I never work 9 to 5. But at the same time, I never really work more than 9 to 5 in terms of the hours I do in a day. So I think that's open there. It's open to put your exercise in. It's open to put a little bit of chill time in after work, whatever. So think on that as well. They're there. Those hours are there for a reason. Okay. And then as we move through, we've got 2 connected ones: health and exercise goals, social chill goals. So if we don't fit those in to our plan for the week, they just get drifted away. And without a consistent effort on thinking about our health, whatever that means to you, thinking about exercise, whatever that means to you, and I'm definitely not a zealot around these sort of things, but I know that we all have to do them, whatever that means for us. And if we're not thinking about what our social life is and our abilities to try and relax and have some leisure time, we're missing a clear opportunity to live a happier life. Simple as that. So when I see these plans without that sort of stuff in it, it always surprises me. I'm always left wondering, like, oh, do people not plan their exercise? Or do people not plan to have fun with people or to relax? Oh no, it just happens. Well, then it doesn't, does it? And that's where it becomes a problem. Okay, so moving up into the top right now, to contact, I think that's one to really think about. Yes, you can use it for work, but if you're the sort of person like me who doesn't have to really contact too many people, I want to put some friends in there, right? Especially I work at home now. This is like this is my office, obviously, but I very rarely go onto campus. So I have to think about, actually, I need to leave the house. I need to make sure I leave the house because my gym's next door. So I don't need to leave the house for much. Okay, so who am I going to speak to? Who am I going to stay in contact with? And the older you get, the harder it is to stay in contact with your old friends, and the harder it is to make new friends as well, because you don't have the opportunities like we used to. So if you're young, don't worry so much about that one, right? You'll probably be fine. You'll be on social media, but the older you get, the more I think you need to focus on the contact one. And then just a couple of bits to finish it off, the reflection section. Reflection section, amazing. This is the bit that I've had really positive feedback on in terms of just encouraging, and I'm going to say forcing you to just think a little bit more about what the week's been like, where it was good, where it was bad. We do this in our teaching. We do it in our appraisals. We reflect. We do it maybe in our parenting. We think, okay, I could have done that a bit better. And these things matter. We have to do them. We know that if we don't reflect on certain things, we just won't advance. We won't improve, whatever that means for you. But we don't do it with like a day-to-day stuff. And what I'm kind of encouraging people to do, especially when they first start out with this, is to just have a moment of reflection. I genuinely think people don't think enough. In a general sense, people don't think enough. And specifically, people don't reflect enough. And I find people really struggle with reflecting. And it makes sense, right? We don't sometimes want to look at ourselves in the mirror because the person that's facing back, you might not be happy with. And you might think, I'd rather not look at that dude for now. I've certainly been there. But with that reflection, with that kind of consideration of what we did, a self-audit, where are my strengths, where are my weaknesses, we can then move forward and we can think, right, okay, what did I do well? Okay, I did some really good stuff here. And you can reflect back on the week and go, this is what I did well. When you're doing that, you're also reflecting on what you didn't do so well. That will happen. So it ends with a kind of positive note here, this pad. What did I do well? Okay, good. Cool. Got my exercise nailed. I spoke to some friends I'd not spoken to. Wicked. If that's the thing that you need to improve on, great, well done. Note it down so you can look back at your week and think, yeah, it might have been easy wins, but there were wins nevertheless. And the final one, the rewards. What do you get? Right? You've done a successful week. You've mapped it all out. You've planned it. You've done a great week. What do you get? Cheesecake, whatever, a pint, whatever, a cigar, whatever. It doesn't have to be something that you stuff in your mouth. It could be anything. It could be a weekend away, but it needs to go in there. It can either go in at the end when you reflect back and you go, right, I deserve this now, or it can go at the start. And when you plan your week, you can go, yeah, that's where it's going to be. That's what I'm going to get at the end of the week. And that gives you that consistent goal. It doesn't have to be big. It can just be symbolic. It can be anything you want. But it has to be something. You have to have something to look forward to. Now, it might be a meal out on a Sunday, whatever, and you can put it into your timetable. It doesn't matter. But there has to be a reward. I say this all the time to my undergrad students. There has to be something. Small goals, small reward. Bigger goal, bigger reward. Whatever it means to you to be small or big is what we need. So make sure you kind of use that to its fullest as well in terms of the rewards. All right. So that's how to use the thing. That's the bits on it. But a couple of tips just to finish us off. If you're an undergrad or a master's student or anyone who works at home, and the younger you are, the more this will be important. This sort of organization demonstrates to your parents and your guardians or whoever it is you're listening to, you're living with, that you're an adult, that you have work to do, you're organized, and you've got a plan, and you're trying to execute it. What that means is when someone sees that, they tend to get out of your way, right? Young people, when I teach at university, one thing that they struggle with is when they go home, they get treated like a kid, right? Especially when they're 18, 19, 20. When they get a bit older, it's a bit different. But you go home and you're a kid again. Like quite obviously, right? You're probably in the same bedroom, probably in a single bed in your old bedroom with your daft posters up still or whatever. Your parents and your guardians and people you live with treat you in the same way. And you can't have that anymore because you're an adult. And an adult does stuff like make a really good plan and then execute it. That's what adults do. So just think on that. It's a way of just claiming a little bit of space and saying, no, I've got a job to do here. And this is one that is coming up at the minute. When I send my third years home at Christmas, I want them to work on my essay. But the parents want them to do X, Y, Z. And I have to be able to give my undergrads a little bit of space to say, no, I've got work to do here. You need to get out of my way so I can do it. I'll do the chores definitely later, but I've got to do this first. So you can use it as a tool. You can use it as a demonstration of your intent to get some work done. Another tip that's not on there, and I toyed with putting this on, but I don't want to be too prescriptive with the actual timetable, so I've left it blank. But I think Friday afternoon, depending on when you go to the pub, so for me, very early, but for most people, Friday afternoon, the end of play, so usually just before 5, should be the time when you stop and fill this in. You go through your reflections. What did you do well? And then you tear it off, you look at it, and then you start next week's plan. So you see them together. So I block in half an hour, maybe longer, depending on how good I am at the time in my preparation and my planning, because sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. Planning half an hour where I'm going to sit and I'm going to plan the next week. What that means is that you can like put a line through the week. You can go to the pub. You can do whatever it is you like to do. You can enjoy your weekend, knowing that you've got stuff set up for next week. You don't have to think about it over the weekend because it's there. It's there on Monday. Monday, I turn into my office and I look at my planner and I go, and that's that. So I don't have to think to myself on Saturday, what am I doing? Tuesday, what's my focus next week? Because you've done it Friday. So you've set yourself up. You've taken your really positive week on that you've finished on Friday. You've moved that sort of focus into the next week. Then you've got 2 days where you can just relax, chill out a little bit, move into the next week ready to rock and roll again. Okay, 2 more points just to finish off. This is my main point that I really want people to focus on. I've hinted at it here and I set it up in the first video. It's really, really important. If you time block, which is what this is all about, if you time block uncritically, you should expect to have pretty negative outcomes, right? So if you're just time blocking because you just think you should, this is the work I've got to do, without really considering what it is you want out of that work, why you're doing it, how it takes you into a focus for the month, how the month takes you into a focus for the year, and how the year takes you into a focus for 5 years, to actually move you where you want to get to. Not, I do this because I do it. I do this because I have no other choice. I do this because it's just normal. F that. Find a bigger focus. Do it critically. Consider what it is you're doing and why you're time blocking it. And if you don't like it and you don't want to do it, assess how you can stop that and do something else. If you don't get that, this plan is a complete waste of your time. It sounds harsh, but if you're not doing stuff critically, you're not assessing why you're doing things, all you're doing is recreating stuff, going down a path that someone else has laid out for you. I'm not into that. Don't be really productive on someone else's path. It makes such sense to me, but I think a lot of people don't think about it enough. So really kind of, if that's not registering, go back to the first video and make sure you watch it. Okay, then finally, the end point of this thing is to not have to use it anymore. The end point of a desktop planner is 2 things. One is to just get so good at being organized that you don't really have to use it, or you use it less and less and less. Sometimes you'll have to come back, right? So I now and then will come back to these. And at the minute, I've used one because it's been in teaching, but I wasn't doing for the whole summer because I had one focus, and that was to get loads and loads of reading and writing done. And I was quite happy organizing my day in my head to fix that, to sort it out, because I put practice in on how to plan and how to time block, and when my head worked well and not so well, and how to take breaks and all the rest of it. So that's the second point, is to actually reduce your workload down as much as possible to something that's coherent just in your mind. Now, that doesn't happen in certain jobs. I get that. But as an academic, that's possible for me. I have a merciless focus on what I want to achieve, and I know exactly what that is. And it's usually quite a small thing. I've got to read this book, because reading the book gets me to be able to write about the book in my own book. Okay, best read the book then. I don't need a planner for that. Now, again, it helps at times when I start to get kind of poor working practices, or I've got a lot of moving parts like teaching or assessments or whatever else, people visiting and whatever. But when I don't, the idea is to get, when I don't, and I can focus big. And I think other people should focus on big things, try and remove all the small things from their life if they can. The idea is to not use this anymore. I hope this is a tool to help people get better at being organized and planning, so they don't need to spend so much time organizing and planning. Maybe you will forever. Maybe that's not how your brain works, whatever. Maybe it's something that you have to consistently use for the rest of your career. Fine. Keep coming back to me and buying more. Okay. Hope that's cool. Hope that's helped a little bit. If you have any questions or comments, please send them over, especially if you've got comments around how it could be improved. Okay, so these will sell really, really quickly. And so there's the opportunity just to kind of shift them in little ways. And if a few people tell me it needs to move in certain ways, I'll certainly engage with that. And if you struggle with it and you find it difficult, obviously go over the videos because there's a lot of support there, but hit me up and let me know, and I'll give you some advice. I talk a lot to my students about this. I'm used to talking about some of the barriers to getting shit done. So it might be that I've not covered some of those on the video, especially the specific stuff that people butt up against, because I can't talk about specifics in a video like this, except for my own specific kind of examples. Okay, hope that's useful. Cheers.